Hi, I'm Cali Griffin, and I will be hosting this week's video announcements. Because Friday the 11th is Veterans Day, I'm going to do a little bit of facts and trivia about veterans. On Monday the 7th, there is no school for a staff development day. But we do have Monday night band practice at 6 p.m. and the parents are invited to come out and support the kids. So Mr. Best, do you know why we celebrate Veterans Day?
Tell us, please.
So the holiday was first called Armistice Day, as it was established after World War I to remember the war to end all wars. It was really established after the ceasefire or armistice that occurred in Europe on November 11th, 1918.
Makes perfect sense.
Tuesday the 8th, there is 3rd and 5th grade robotics at South Elementary at 3:30 p.m. There is also a Lady Buckaroo basketball game versus Abilene High at home with games at 5 and 6:15 p.m. Hey, Mr. Best.
Yes, ma'am?
Why do we celebrate Veterans Day?
Well, what do most people say?
Well, usually people say we honor the men and the women who have served in the armed forces, but what do you think about it?
Well, I think the reason why we honor them is because men and women have used their freedom as Americans to be ultimately responsible for other Americans in terms of, protecting their freedoms and liberties, but also they've done that for other people too, like in Europe during World War II. And so that is a very honorable thing to do, is to take one's life and put it on the line for others, because you're using your freedom to be incredibly responsible, and that is indeed honorable.
Very well said. On Wednesday the 9th, there's a UIL Congress meet. There's also FFA skills practice at 12:19 p.m. and a cooking club at South at 3:30 p.m. Mr. Best.
Yes, ma'am?
What color do you associate with Veterans Day?
I'm not sure. Tell us, please.
So actually, green is the color that we use for Veterans Day, and it is a color of hope, well-being, and renewal. So a green light is a term commonly used to activate forward motion.
Sure.
So usually people will light this light on their porch all year round to show support and kind of bring attention to our veterans.
So we need to get with the program and put some green lights on our houses. Cool.
On Thursday the 10th, we have our Veterans Day Assembly, and this is hosted by Ms. Kim Walker, and we would like to formally invite everyone to come out and show their support. We also have 4th grade robotics at South at 3:30, and the Lady Broncos take on the Millsap Bulldogs there with times to my right. There's also the boys junior high versus Millsap at home with times at 4:30 and 5:30 p.m. Hey, Mr. Best.
Yes, ma'am?
Did you know there are more than 2.5 million post 9/11 military veterans that have served in our nation?
Very cool.
There's also less than 1% of the population that have served in 9/11.
Yeah, so not very many.
And there is 80% of these are spent overseas in combat zones, and 60% are under the age of 34.
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those combat soldiers are in their 20s too, probably not much older than you are.
Right.
So another thing to get behind.
On Friday the 11th, the junior high has an awards assembly in the Bailey Auditorium with times to my right. The Buckaroos also have bi-district games going on this week, more than likely on Thursday or Friday this week, so please check the web calendars to get more information. Did you know anyone who served in a war is considered to be a veteran?
Right.
It is possible that you might know a veteran or at least have one living in your neighborhood. Perhaps there is someone who served in the Navy during World War II or served in the Army during the Vietnam War. What do you think about this, Mr. Best?
Well, most of the World War II veterans have passed on now, but there's certainly a lot of people from Vietnam and, of course, Gulf Wars I and II and things like Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. Another thing to keep in mind is some of our own staff are veterans. For example, Coach Brian Gehring is a Marine, and you know what they say, once a Marine, always a Marine.
On Saturday the 12th, there is an FFA swine validation from 8 to 9 a.m. There's also a Lady Buckaroo basketball game versus City View there with times to my right. There's also the Buckaroos basketball versus Clyde there, also with times to my right. I want to wish all Bucks and Broncos an amazing week and a great basketball season.